Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday night, which means it's another live Wicked Horror Show. I'm Kevin, and as always, I'm joined by Tony.
What is going on, people?
And Tony, would you like to introduce our special guest?
Sure. From the movie December, which is actually an anthology film. One of the shorts is directed by Amelie. Hopefully I said that right.
Close enough.
I'm horrible with pronunciations, so don't take offense.
Is it Amalia?
Amalia.
Amalia. Okay.
Well, it's a very cool name. It was even
wicked Italian.
I was just like, where is she from? I was trying to figure it out. And one thing too, so with December, it's like Tony was saying, it's an anthology. And I know, like, I mean, you've been involved in some other anthologies as well. This one is 25 stories, right? Is it 25?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's kind of like a advent calendar kind of deal. Different stories and different styles, different countries and everything. So it's pretty cool. But I was trying to figure out if you were actually from the US or if you were from somewhere else. And so you're from the US.
Yeah, I'm an East Coast Italian originally, but I live in LA now.
Oh, nice. What part of the East Coast?
I grew up in Maine, and then between Maine and Boston.
Okay, I'm in Worcester. So unfortunately,
yeah,
I'm from Worcester, wicked Worcester, dude. Tony's in New Jersey. What part of Maine were you at before?
I grew up in Bucksport, Maine, which is like right outside of Bangor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bangor.
Stephen King country.
Oh yeah. Nice area. I go up there for vacation and stuff from time to time in that area. That's cool. East Coast, keeping it real. But yeah, that's awesome. So your segment in December, very stylized. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about what inspired it? Like, did you like? You're obviously going for a particular style.
Yeah, we wanted to do something. Well, when the producers originally approached me, they're like, "Hey, we really like your giallo short films. Can you do something like that?" I was like, "Well, of course. Anytime I can shoot something in that style, I'm 100% down to do it." So, we wanted to do something that was giallo, but it was like more of like the offbeat, the lesser known stuff, like Red Queen Kills, and more of like a Bava look than like the traditional like Argento.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what we were going for.
It's really unfortunate that one of our regular guys, he's on twice a month. He couldn't be on this week, but he's all about that
Italian horror.
He's all about it. And he messaged me. He was so upset because he thought that one of the stars of your short was going to be on, and he's a big Suspiria fan. And so he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm missing this." He's like, "This is ridiculous." But
I'm sure Barbara would have come on. We should have asked her. She would have done it.
Well, there's always next time.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we would have to do that because he'll be like falling
over the moon.
Oh my God, it'd be good to make his day once in a while. But so yeah, this actually reminded me of a lot of like when I was younger. They would always play like the a lot of the I don't know if it was all Italian horror or stuff, but it was always like overdubbed, and it was on like late at night when we first got cable in my area. That's how old I am. When we first got cable, I used to stay up and just watch. Like it was responsible for me finding so many cool horror movies. But that's it reminded me a lot of that because everything was overdubbed, even though they were speaking the same language. It was still overdubbed and like just kind of over the top. And it was that one character who just kept clearing his throat, and I'm like, this is fantastic. was great.
Oh my gosh. On set, like behind the monitor, I could not stop laughing. You're talking about Galen Howard,
Mm.
and he was just so fucking funny that I couldn't stop. Like I was like trying to control myself. I was personally blowing takes because I was laughing at him doing that.
It was very good. Yeah, it was. It looked like it was really fun. So I'm sorry, I've totally just hogged everything. Tony, I'm sure you had some questions.
Well, I was going more into like the, you guys were talking about the style and everything. I just want to know, especially with, the influx, there's a lot of anthology films that are, now making the rounds with, trick or treat and stuff. So now making I guess you would call it like a holiday anthology film. Like, did you want to get on it, or did you want to kind of have your own? Like when they asked you to do it, did you jump at the bit, or was it like, I kind of want to do my own thing? Like I don't know how directors go. Like they.
I mean, it's a little of both. I mean, obviously, I've been directing a long time, and I still don't have a feature. I go to pitch meetings all the time. I'm always trying for that, and I think a lot of directors are. That's the ultimate goal. But that being said, I love Christmas horror. Like it is my shit, 100%. So I definitely jumped at the chance to do something like that.
Nice. And just real quick, Sergio's in the chat room. He just wants to make sure we see that he says hi. Hello, Sergio. Good to see you. So you said you love Christmas hard. Do you have like a specific one that like, because there's a lot of people who don't think of horror and Christmas, except for all of us. But, most of the people I work with and most of the people I know, that's not what they associate with Christmas. So is there a one that you like always like, oh no, you need to check this out. It'll make your day.
I mean, my ultimate favorite is definitely Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Hmm.
Like, if I would cut off a limb to do the remake of that. Like, I know I would kill it. I love Black Christmas, Don't Open Till Christmas, To All a Good Night, Christmas Evil. Those would be my big recommendations. Krampus, even.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what about some of the newer stuff like Krampus and even like was it A Christmas Horror Story? Where like Santa and Krampus are like fighting each other and like Santa's ripped. They're fighting with like chains and stuff. It was crazy.
Then there's other ones like Sleigh Bells is newer with from Dread Central and the Jed Presents, and then what is it? Is it Jack Frost with where the snowman comes to life?
Yeah. That's from like
I love Jack Frost.
Is that from the 80s or like early 90s or something?
Mm-hmm.
And then they made a sequel.
Movie.
Yeah. But so on this one, I mean, like I see that you've done a lot of shorts and stuff like that, like you were saying. This one was, it's Epic Pictures and it's like Shout Factory and stuff like that. That's pretty big. Like those are two like not franchises, but two distribution outlets that it's like it's a big deal to me. I'm like, oh man, this means business. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a super cool part about doing it too. And they were all pretty much involved from the beginning. So that was cool. I mean, I love a lot of the shorts in this too. Like I think as an anthology goes, it's pretty strong throughout. Like a lot of really good filmmakers, a lot of people I really, really respect. And a lot of actors that I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they did a movie I worked with,
Yeah. Well, there's Tiffany Shepis is in it and Barbara Crampton is in one. And like, there's like one shot where she like reveals and there's like a really cool practical makeup and everything.
Like very Evil Dead.
Yeah. It's awesome. But I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen the whole thing. I've only made it to like, I think number 15. Because I was watching it as I was working. And if anyone's listening that I work with, you didn't hear that. Okay. I just want to point that out. But yeah, but again, like I agree with you. There's been no, like so far, there's been no stinkers in it. Like I mean, as far because you're gonna get that. There's gonna be somewhere that aren't as strong as others, but I've enjoyed all of them, and it's different countries and stuff like that. So if you're planning on watching this, which by the way, you can stream it like everywhere. I put that it's on Tubi because from what we heard, like filmmakers actually make the most money off of Tubi as opposed to like Amazon and stuff like that. it is on Amazon, and it's all free to watch in those locations with ads, but still, it's totally worth it. They're from what I've seen, they place the ads in a good spot. It's between the segments and stuff like that, so it's not cutting anything off in the middle. But yeah, there's been a lot of really cool different genres of horror mixed in with this, and it's all Christmassy at the same time.
And that's what going to like anthology films, a lot of them, it's not that the shorts are, bad or anything. It's just, with the different styles and the different takes on stuff, sometimes, everybody has their own genre that they like more or whatever. So with everyone that I saw, I was very impressed by them. But again, like some are my taste, some aren't. So, it's definitely, I guess I like anthology films because say you're watching just your normal feature, if you don't like it throughout the movie, you're not going to like the whole thing. With anthologies, it throws different styles at you. So, it's you can watch it and it changes as it goes.
And I think that the good thing with one like this, and like even like I see that you had a segment in ABCs of Death 2.5. So the good thing with those kind of anthologies is how short stuff is, because sometimes like so the other guy that's on the show, we're doing like every episode of Creep Show as it was coming out for the newer series, and the thing is there's always like one story that just like this is dragging. Like, oh my God, this is taking so long. It seems like this has been going on forever. So that's the thing is these segments are so short. You're forced to get to the point so quickly.
Yeah.
They're just fun. Like they're fun.
Now, does that make it difficult? I'm sure each like a feature length is you don't want to have a drag, so you have to, figure it out. But then with shorts, it's like, how do you get everything in there with your vision and stuff without like with a set amount of time kind of deal? Like each one, I'm sure
it's rough. I'd say there's a cut of mine that's about like 13 minutes long. We had to leave a lot of stuff, on the cutting room floor, and it's complicated. It's like, what really matters to your story, and a lot of it's like you have to sacrifice like style for the substance of your story, which is kind of a bummer, but it's also a fun challenge. So with anthologies, I found like if your script is shorter than your runtime is supposed to be, then you're probably going to be in good shape.
Yeah. So you said there was like a 13-minute cut of it.
Yeah.
So like, did they do the editing or they allow you to do the cuts?
No, they as far as anything creative, the producers of this were basically like, we pitched what we wanted to do. They approved it and they're like, here's your money, here's your deadlines, and they were hands off. So it's all creative control is to the filmmakers of this movie, which is awesome and it's rare. But yeah, getting them down to those runtimes, and I know a lot of people, in general with anthologies, it's always a thing.
Well, there's a lot of anthologies that I'm sure they're obviously lower budget. They're not Epic Pictures and Show Factory kind of stuff, but it's they're just like basically like, all right, just send me a short and we'll decide which one is going in. It's almost like a short film festival, like that they're releasing as a feature, which at the same time isn't bad. Like there's a lot of those I've seen. Some filmmakers that were very early in their career that have gone on to make movies that I love. Oh, look at that cat.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's right.
That's okay. No reason to apologize. That cat's very gray and it's adorable. My cat's also very gray, a little longer fur, but what's that cat's name?
Her name is Eddie. She's very into attention.
Nice.
And she now thinks that this whole interview is about her.
That's
so
completely fine.
Direct all questions to Eddie.
Yeah. Oh, Eddie, meow. Am I right? Can you hear me? No. My cat's name is Thea. My wife calls her Thea Louise, and she's fantastic. But yeah, I'm all about gray cats. I don't know why. They're my favorite. So yeah, this is another reason if you're listening to the podcast, you need to watch it because you can't see the cat if you're listening. All right.
I mean, you can try to imagine it.
Yeah.
But
just imagine a very cute gray cat sitting by a sewing machine, looking at me like I owe it money.
Yeah. Pretty much.
But yeah. Now, sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I was gonna say, with so many different directors working on this, did you talk to each other beforehand, or was it something that you I'm sure there was a screening and whatever. Did you meet each other after? Like I was saying, like,
Oh, was there a
meeting.
screening though? Because this came out like during the pandemic, right?
It came out, I think they started doing festivals before the pandemic. But the whole release was during. All of the Los Angeles area directors, we all got together and we like rented out a screening room basically and watched it like that with just the LA shorts. So there's about 7 or 8 of us, I think. And it was really fun doing that. And we, cast crew, all of our friends. So it was like, this was before the film was actually finished. So that's pretty much the only thing we've all done together. Other than that, I don't think I've met over half the people.
Wow.
Just it's worldwide. There's people everywhere that worked on this.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, I mentioned Creepshow. It's on Shudder, whatever. But that's a good thing with things like this and things like Shudder is that you're exposed to different types of horror from other parts of the country or other parts of the world, really.
Mm-hmm.
But so much really good like foreign horror that's out there that you just don't know. You just don't know it's there, and then until someone remakes it in the U.S. and does it horribly.
I know, right?
But I don't know. Depends on who's involved. But there's some like fantastic like foreign horror that's out there that is just top notch. Like it's worth Shudder alone. It's worth paying the $5 a month for Shudder.
Absolutely. And like there's so much stuff that hasn't even made it to Shudder yet that I hope people can get their eyeballs on eventually.
Yeah. That's the thing is you were talking about how you go to like pitch meetings and stuff like that and you haven't had a feature yet. We've had a bunch of filmmakers like from your area that have made features. Like they've actually made the feature and it's just going nowhere. Like it's just features made. They've been talking about it for years. They like sold us on it completely, and it's like we'll never see this movie. It's unfortunate.
It's true. It's such a battle. I don't know if you guys follow Chris LaMartina on Twitter, the guy who did the WNUF movie. But for the last month or so, he's been tweeting like every day these long stories of like indie filmmaking, and they ring so true to like the experience of just like the hell that horror filmmakers go through trying to get their movies made.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. So when people get there and get their movie made and it comes out, like that is such an accomplishment by itself. Like I can't even like when someone does it, even if I don't like the movie, I would never say it out loud because they've done it. They've done it.
We've said that a billion times. Like I've never made a movie. So like no matter what, if I've hated a movie, it's still better than anything I've ever made because I've never made a movie. So I'm like, there's movies that are like that some people love and I absolutely can't stand. I'm like, oh, whatever. That movie's just whatever. But at the same time too, they were able to get it made. Some people love it, so that's awesome. But in general, I can usually find at least a few things that I find redeeming, even in a story that I just don't love or whatever. There's always something good about it somewhere. You got to find the good. You can't. There's too many negative people out there. It's too much where people just because they have a mouth, they feel like they have to use it. I don't know.
Absolutely, and and it's a bummer. That's there is a little bit of a toxic presence in the horror community, but I think overall, like the positive voices are really the ones.
I was gonna say, I think that toxic voice is everywhere. But the thing is that because there's so many very supportive people in horror, that when the people that aren't supportive are out there, it almost like sticks out even more to me, because I mean, I don't know if you ever went to conventions when you were out in the East Coast, but like, did you ever go to like Rock and Shock or anything where?
Yeah,
on the East Coast?
I've been there a few times.
Nice. You know what's done? Like they're not doing it ever again.
Really?
Yeah, there was the last year they were there, like. Our podcast network finally had a booth. We actually had a booth, like first time we ever had a booth there, and then that was the last year they did it.
Wow.
We ruined it. We ruined Rock and Shock.
What is ICP gonna do?
Just gonna whoop somewhere else, I tell you. The one thing about the Palladium is it no longer stinks like old Fago. I can just tell you that.
Oh, I miss the Palladium.
Yeah, that was totally off the subject of movies. I'd seen a bunch of shows when I was younger there. like in the 90s, like the Mighty Mighty Bosstones and stuff like that. But this is back on like their first album. Like they would just do a show with all local bands. And I was always like, one of these days I'm going to play here. And I did. I headlined downstairs and it was horrible.
Oh no.
Yeah, it sounded absolutely horrible on stage, but it was just like, still, I still can say I headlined the Palladium once. And I also played upstairs at the Palladium too, which was weird. But that was back in the day.
Oh, I remember going to like, I think you're talking about like, was it like Back to School Jam or something like that, that Mighty Mighty Bosstones and Dropkick Murphys. And
yeah. Well, this was like literally I was in high school, so it was probably like 92 when I went.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah,
I'm thinking like 2002.
Right. This is like 92, and like so their first album, Devil's Night Out, was out, and it was before More Noise and Other Disturbances. I still listen to the Bosstones like they're brand new because I'm stuck in the 90s. But whatever. That's one thing we have in common is the Bosstones and the Palladium.
But
anyways, Tony has no idea anything what we're talking about. Continue.
I know that I don't know the area, but I know the Mighty Mighty Bosstones. But going back to you saying, I mean, for us, how many times have we said it's better than anything we ever did before I was on the podcast? I guess I looked at movies a lot different after having, so many people come on, and the stories behind a lot of this stuff that people have no idea. Like they think the movie's made and it's easy and it's done and then it's out. Like how many horror stories we've heard from, all directors and actors that come on here. And it's just like, there's so many things. Like if most people, your everyday, fan realize what goes behind the movie, I think they look at it like through a different, lens and stuff. So I'm sure with this, like I said, having to get so much stuff in a short, I'm sure there's, it just speeds everything up 10 times over that, it gives you that much more of, of craziness going on.
We have a question, since we're talking about music, wondering who's team Grimes and who's team Elon. So I'm assuming, wasn't it like Elon Musk, right? It was his.
He was married to Grimes, or they had a kid together, or something.
Yeah, it's got some weird name you can't pronounce.
Just like a bunch of numbers.
Yeah. I don't pay attention to that stuff. It's horrible. Like I was at work and they're like, "Oh yeah, just so you know, if you talk to anyone in these states, there's the whole tornado relief and everything." I'm like, "What tornado? There was a tornado?" Like I had no idea. Like I avoid the news because it's depressing. Daniel John is saying hi, hey all. Daniel's the man, by the way.
Hi, Daniel.
He's a producer. He's also an actor, and he is in a ton of newer movies that I'm very excited about.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's involved in a lot of cool stuff that's coming out. And he's the man. I know him from conventions as well. Like I would run into him at horror cons. That's how I first met him. But yeah, so it's I don't know. It's a crazy thing with getting these movies released. So you looking at your IMDb, you've been making shorts. How long have you been in like trying to break in?
I mean, I've been making short films since I was a kid. Like I would use my grandpa's VHS camcorder and like edit it between two VCRs. But I moved to LA in like 2013, 2014. And I've been directing ever since, in a more professional level. I've gotten really close to getting features made, like 2 weeks away from, the first day of shooting, and then everything falls apart. And, it's happened a few times, and I, as I said, I pitch a lot. I go to a lot of meetings. There's the added layer of being like a woman in horror and a female director, and that adds like another layer of just like, the meetings that women tend to get are like the movies that producers feel need a female director because they're doing something terrible that they're going to get shit for if it comes out and a man makes it, like like rape revenge movies, which I have no interest in at all. And like,
I mean, it's weird to say, but there's a place for them, and the ones that are good are really good, but at the same time too, there's a lot of them out there that you just shouldn't watch. Like there's just something just like whatever.
This is just not a movie. I don't want to make a fucking rape movie.
Right.
ever.
I can probably list on one hand how many that I actually think are like solid movies. But yeah, I don't disagree.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of like, you know, producers looking for female directors because the movie it's like a predominantly female plot. But then that means I'm pitching against, you know, 10 women that I know and respect, and it sucks that we're all like up against each other all the time when it's not a competition, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a bummer. I'm like, I would love to get in there for some of like, you know, the really good stuff.
Yeah.
But they do have that what is it, Double X, I think it is, where it was the 4 female directors. It was like a small anthology film. So maybe if you know, you all come together, you could pitch like 10 short or 15 short or something like that.
But she wants to do a feature.
Valid point.
She wants to do a feature, unless you just change your name a bunch of times and just all the shorts are done by you, and then call it a day.
Right.
And at the end, be like, surprise! It was me the whole time. But yeah, so like as far as a feature, like are you just like taking meetings for movies that are already written and they're just looking for a director, or is it something that are you looking to like something that you've written as well?
Yeah, I mean, I have my own projects for sure, and those are like the ones that, you know, bottom line are what I'd absolutely love to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, you know, whenever I get approached, you know, by different companies that are like, hey, you know, we have this movie, are you interested in like pitching? Of course, yeah. Like, you know, I'm hungry, I want to make a movie. So I'll take, you know, I take pretty much anything that comes my way unless I read the script and it's like, dear God, like lose my fucking number.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens because I mean, I don't know, I'm sure it does. But so the one thing that I've noticed, I mean, we've seen a lot too, is it like especially with the independent horror, is that a lot of it isn't in LA anymore. Like a lot of it's like there's actors and stuff that are in LA. They're just going other places to do the movies, but it's a lot of stuff in Texas. There's a lot of stuff even in like East Coast. But so yeah, it's weird like how things are changing, and since the pandemic too, like it seems like there's a lot of stuff that's changing as well.
Well, it's expensive to shoot here, so
yeah,
you know,
sure.
there's, you know, tax breaks in another state, so it makes sense to shoot somewhere else.
Yeah. And I just want to point out too, we originally, besides our lovely guest, we're also going to have Andrew Scott Bell on, who was the composer, like for like his overall composer and like the between segments and stuff like that. And the music was awesome, by the way. Like I wish he was here so I could tell him in person. But music was great, very Danny Elfman-ish. Like it reminded me a lot of, like it made me think of Nightmare Before Christmas at times. But I'm a big Oingo Boingo fan and like Danny Elfman fan, so I was like, oh yeah, this is my jam right here. I'd listen to this in the car. But it was good stuff. And he couldn't come on because it's Christmas and he has a long drive for family reasons. So understandable completely. But yeah, if you're a fan of like quality music, like scores, you know, that's another reason to check out the movie. We do have the trailer for the movie. So I want to play that. So again, this is Deathcember. It's streaming pretty much everywhere for free. So Tubi, Amazon, I think it's on Vudu, Vimeo. I think it's listed in all those places, and it's for free with ads, but totally worth it. So here is the trailer for Deathcember.
What would you do to have things the way they were?
Anything.
Come on, we still need jelly donuts and extra candle holders.
Pedal faster.
What was the agreement?
We split everything 75-25, and then it's Merry Christmas to all.
11 years, a good riding partner, that's something. Merry Christmas.
Ooh, crackers, is it? Oh, give us a go, love.
We've got a lot of work to do tonight.
That end was very long. I was like, is it gonna just keep going? But yeah, it must be crazy. Like so many people are involved in this. It's so many different directors. Like just sitting through the credits, I'm sure it would just take forever. If they showed at the end like all the names, I'm like, that's why it was so long at the very end, because they want you to read them all.
Right.
But yeah, it's from what I've seen. Again, I'm a horrible host and I haven't watched the whole movie, but I've watched yours more than once. I wanted to watch it a couple times to make sure. And like I said, everything I've seen so far has been pretty awesome. Like, so it's one that I'm gonna finish. And that if Shout Factory released this as well, I'm sure it's available in physical media places as well too, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Epic and Shout both collaborated on some sort of Blu-ray release.
Mhm.
I think it has a commentary on it too.
Oh wow. Like, is there commentary in every segment? Like, did you do commentary?
No, I did. I'm a slacker, but I think most of them have it. I just when they were doing it, I was already on another project and couldn't.
Hmm. So speaking of other projects, what do you have going on? Like, so again, looking at your IMDb, there's a bunch of shorts, and there is some stuff that's listed that's in pre-production and post-production. So what what can people look for coming out from you?
Well, I think probably the reason Andrew isn't here is a little bit my fault. I just finished producing and directing a giant live Christmas horror variety show here in LA at the Midsummer Scream Convention, and Andrew was in it. Barbara Crampton hosted it. It was super cool. We just finished that this weekend, so I think I probably delayed him getting out of town a little.
It sounds really cool though. Like, it sounds awesome.
It was so fun. It was Andrew actually did some puppet routine. Like, he made himself a giant furry puppet costume out of a garbage can. And it was actually really, really cool. And yeah, so we just finished that. It was a blast. And then and I think Sam Weinman, who was another director for December, he was involved as well. And so yeah, we did that. And then as far as film stuff goes, I have a short coming out for like the festival circuit next year called Hypocritical Hit, which is sort of like an 80s like Monster Squad if it was all girls, about teenagers who a bunch of teenage girls who summon the devil through Dungeons and Dragons and the hypocritical nature of Christianity. So that was really fun. We just finished that, and that's like probably my next bigger project. And then I think we're shooting another short film next month. And what else?
So that thing that you just did, that Barbara Crampton hosted, did you film that by chance?
Yes, yeah, we filmed it. My boyfriend is also a horror director.
Nice.
And we always make like weird shit to put on YouTube. And for the last few years, we've done like Christmas variety shows just for the internet with our friends. And this year it was actually live, which was a whole different, I had never directed or produced any live theater, so I had no idea what I was in for. And I think the entirety of my December was just dealing with that.
That's cool though. I mean,
it was so fun.
And then the fact that Barbara Crampton hosted it too, like that's like, I don't know, it just adds like because she's great. Like
she's amazing.
But yeah, that's really, I would love to check that out. So do you know when that's going to be available to watch somewhere?
Hopefully the next week or so. We're just collecting footage still. But we have a YouTube channel called The Midnight Company, just YouTube/Midnight Company, where we put all of the weird shit we make just for fun, and we'll throw it up there.
I'll be checking that out. I can, and I can recommend some other weird stuff that I'm involved with that makes zero sense. Like a friend of mine does a thing called TV Show Johnson, and it's very Tim and Eric-ish.
That's our vibe too. We love that shit.
And I do some voiceover stuff for it for a grocery store company that's called Smupper's Food Grabbery. And it's ridiculous, but I'll subscribe to yours, and then I'll shoot you guys some check out TV Show Johnson. It's ridiculous.
Like,
I just want to point out that Sergio just asked probably one of the weirdest questions I think he's ever asked. He wanted to know if Michael Jackson was in the movie. So in the trailer, I'm assuming, I think I know what scene he's talking about. I don't know if it's like a British one where she's like, "Oh, the cracker," and she like going to pull it. The mom, I guess you can confuse her with Michael Jackson, but no, Michael Jackson was not in the movie.
Oh, wouldn't it be cool if we
that would be pretty awesome.
Corpse and did
like,
it?
Oh my God! Wait a minute, that's where Michael Jackson went. He's in the UK. I don't know if that's UK or Australia, because that also, I haven't seen that story yet, but that also kind of almost gave me like Dead Alive vibes, like we're sitting around the table kind of thing. And then obviously there's one segment that is very much A Christmas Story ish. There's one kid that his name is Ryder, and obviously Red Ryder, and it's Christmas Story. I just saw him. Okay, no, you didn't, Sergio. That was a mom. Anyways, enough of that, Sergio. Okay. But yeah, so that's interesting. You said your boyfriend is also a horror director. Has he, like, is there anything that he's done that we may have heard of or seen?
Probably. He did a movie called Consumption, and he did one called "Oh God, I'm the worst girlfriend in the world." He has one coming out right now that just did festivals, a feature film called The New Hands, and which is actually really weird and cool. And they did it very low budget. I think it's like under $20,000.
Nice.
But they did so much with what they had.
I just want to put out, you said under $20,000. That seems like so much money to me. Like
to make a movie, no.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I would be like $400. I could do that maybe, and my wife would be wicked mad at me if I spent $400 to do something.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know.
Well, if you got to think about it like this, like, how many people does it take to make a movie?
Right.
And no matter how low budget it is, those people still need to make something to take home.
Right.
Like, we can't survive off hugs and kisses.
Right. That's the thing too, is that's something that I learned from this show as well. Like, so being a movie fan my whole life, I just assumed that if you're in the movies, you're famous and you're living off being an actor or an actress or a director or whatever. And like, there's so many people that I'm like, I've seen in so many things, and they're like, no, they have day jobs, stuff like that.
You'd be surprised. I've been my other job. Well, one of my other jobs is I'm a photographer, and I've done a lot of covers for Fangoria from 2015 onwards. And so I've met and worked with a lot of people, and you'd be surprised, how many are like, yeah, I'm still waiting tables even though I'm on this new Netflix show.
Yeah, that's
it's crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah, it's weird too. Like, there's people that we've had on the show a bunch, and they're considered horror icons, and they're icons in our eyes. But I'm just like, I could totally see them doing this. Like, I could see Felissa Rose doing a particular job. Like, it's weird. It's like, she's so great. I could see her being a realtor. I don't know why, but I could see her being a realtor. But
I
like,
love Alyssa. She's amazing.
yeah, actually that guy I mentioned, Daniel John. He's a bunch of the movies that he's producing and she's in as well.
Oh yeah, is she producing as well? Because I know she does.
I think so. Yeah,
on a couple of
so
them. Time's Up, I think, and
Time's Up, Dark Circles, and there's a
On
bunch.
Location, right?
Yeah, On Location, and they're actually I know I think they're involved in Wolf Hollow
Mm.
and stuff too. So yeah, these bunch of really cool stuff coming out.
Awesome.
Yeah, but
I've photographed Felissa a lot. We've done a lot of photo shoots together over the years.
yeah, I always love seeing her get stuff. Like there was a thing, like she just did a thing with Shutter for the drive-in Billy Bob, and I just love seeing that she gets that stuff. And she was also there's like a drag show that's on Shutter, and she's been
the Boulet Brothers show.
I love that show. Like I keep like wanting to see the next episode. I'm like, it's not there yet. It's not there yet. I want to see it because it's very good.
And then one of the Deathstember directors is the director of Dragula.
Really?
Michael Verratti, who did the Tiffany Shepis episode.
Oh, okay.
He directs Dragula.
Wow.
Yeah. Small world.
Have you ever seen Dragula, Tony?
No.
It's a drag show, kind of like a RuPaul's Drag Race kind of thing, but it's all horror themed.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really good, but of course they show you like the behind the scenes like drama and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. There was one episode where they mentioned Terrifier a bunch, and I was very happy about that.
Oh yeah, the Dread Central episode.
Yeah, because we've had those guys on a few times. We've had Damien on. We've had
David Howard Thornton.
David Howard Thornton's on, and he's awesome too. But anyways, there's so many really cool people in this industry, and I'm just glad that I can talk to them.
Well, that's what I was going to get at before with having so many like directors and stuff. I was going to say, did you bounce ideas off each other, or just like I'm sure you've seen a movie, like I'm sure you have some shorts that you were like, how would you do this? I was going to say how close everyone was, where you could be like, oh, how'd you do this, or what was your thinking on that? Like I would think that everybody got together and kind of threw ideas off each other, but I guess I was wrong.
No, I think the main stuff that we all sort of worked together on, because everybody was shooting at the same time, so it was pretty chaotic, but it was a lot of like, how did you get your SAG paperwork done for this, or how did you get fake snow, or things like that, just like technical stuff more or less. Or like, it was a lot of like, hey, if you're using this location for 2 days and I use it for 2 days, then maybe we'll get a better deal, or things like that. So it was a little bit of collaboration, but not a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure like production, like the behind the scenes people will be like, no, you can't do that story because it's too similar to that story, or whatever. I think that might have been where you were going, like headed towards, Tony, was like making sure.
A little bit of that too, but I was just saying, because how many times the past couple times where we were talking about, On Location or Time's Up, and it just seems like now you were calling them a Rat Pack. It seems like, a lot of people collaborate a lot now on, on one movie, and then which goes into the next. I was going to say how close knit everybody was, where, you can, work together on the next project, or have, people from each short kind of work together, like I was saying with
maybe the LA people though, right? Because you said there was more than half of the people you've
we're all good friends, and we all spend a lot of time together. I think do you guys know who Chelsea Stardust is? She did Satanic Panic.
Okay, I know that. That's a Shudder original.
Yeah, she recommended, I think, all of us. Like, they had approached her first, and she's like, I'm busy making a film, but these 10 directors are awesome, and you should use them. And I think that's pretty much how all of us got roped into this.
That's pretty great, though.
It was cool, yeah.
It's cool that people like that look out for other up and coming directors and stuff. That's great.
Because I think
there's a good community here of the filmmakers who are all trying to do our thing and trying to like get stuff made, and it's a good network of like support.
Yeah,
because a lot of the times we've heard that, but then we've heard the opposite, where it's a very like cutthroat industry. So
I think it
some
depends on
people
where
would,
you're at,
mm,
you know, and what you're
because some
going for. You're like, so that's the thing is like some of like the, like maybe with like the bigger industry stuff, it may be a little bit more difficult, but some of the, if they're in the middle of Pittsburgh making a movie, and that's where they're based out of, it's not LA. So,
mm,
Even
but
in LA, I don't see, because I mean, all of us, as I said, are like, there is a horror community here. We all know each other. We all hang out together. We all spend holidays together. Um,
I would love to
and
be a fly on the wall during that Thanksgiving.
mm.
I mean, yeah, there's lots of good. I mean, but that's never. I rarely see anything dramatic, and I see a lot of love and support. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
like
I would be at Rock and Shock and I would see like someone that we've had on before, and I mentioned like someone else that didn't even know that there was any kind of correlation with these people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they're great," blah 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 blah. And I'm like,
yeah.
"That's so weird." Like I've talked to you a bunch, I've talked to them a bunch. We had no idea that you guys were friends. Like this is just, it's cool. I don't know. That's awesome. You guys can be so supportive. So Sergio asks this every week. I know it's not a loaded question, but I'm gonna, if I don't ask it, he's gonna flip out on me. So do you have like, besides a Christmas horror movie, what would you say is your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie. Oh my gosh. Um, it always changes, but I kind of have a few that I'm like that are always like up there.
Yeah,
And
it really does depend on the time of year and everything. Like it definitely
yeah.
changes for me as well.
Yeah, like lately, like I've been into like a lot of like De Palma movies, but I'd say Manhunter is probably always in my top 5.
Really?
Yeah.
I just mentioned that to someone recently, and they had no idea it existed.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because we're talking about made for TV movies, because that was a made for TV movie, right?
Was it? I don't
Manhunter?
know.
You're
I don't
talking about
think-
like the 80s one?
Yeah, with Tom Noonan, Michael Mann
Yeah.
directed it.
Yeah. I'm pretty
Oh.
sure it was. I'm not.
wow.
I could be completely wrong, because we're talking about like Stephen King stuff, and he was saying that his favorite Stephen King movie was Salem's Lot, and I was like, it's probably up until I hadn't seen it up until recently, to be honest with you, and before that I thought it was my favorite made for TV horror movie, but it really doesn't hold up. When I first saw it, it was awesome. Then I watched it years later. I'm like, this isn't very good, but Salem's Lot, I think, is a solid movie. And then Manhunter came up, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was a made for TV movie as well. And they hadn't seen it, so they didn't even know it existed. So,
Wow. Yeah, I've seen it. I actually got to see it a few years ago with Michael Mann doing a Q&A after here in LA.
wow.
And that was really cool. But yeah, that always, for some reason, that movie always stays like in my top 5. That and like Monster Squad and Warriors isn't a horror movie, but it's always up there for me too.
Right.
It's adjacent.
Right, exactly. It's different. There's people with makeup on. There's bottles.
Yeah. It's fantastical.
Exactly.
That's the word.
Now, was there one movie, maybe not horror related, but that got you wanting because you said you were doing it since you were like 13, like making shorts and stuff. Was there one movie that you saw that you're like, this is what I want to do now?
Well, it's crazy. I grew up a horror fan. Like I watched horror movies like from the time I was 5 or 6 years old. Like it was my jam. And every Tuesday, the local mom and pop video store had like $1 night. And so I'd go with my $5 and get 5 movies and go home and binge them. And I remember seeing Slumber Party Massacre, and up pops on the screen, directed by Amy Holden Jones. And I was like, women can do this. This is the thing that I could do. And that totally was like game changing for me. I'm like, oh shit. And then that was the movie that made me like pick up a camera and start shooting.
That's awesome. And it's weird to me. Like, I don't know, like you're from the East Coast, and it's weird because I'm obviously older than you, but I never had that mentality. It never would have surprised me to see like a female director. So it's different, but I'm not a female. So, it's always surprising to me that like that's a thing, like in your eyes. And it's
just never
unfortunate.
clicked. it never clicked. I loved, Wes Craven and John Carpenter and Clive Barker. Like, I watched everything they made that I could get my hands on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think up until that moment, I never, when I was a kid, I must have been like 12 or 13 years old tops. And it was the first one it clicked. I was like, oh, like, I don't know why I never thought about it before. I don't know why I thought only men can do this, but I really did.
That's
I really
crazy.
did.
I mean, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, that was,
Yeah, there was no visibility. And,
right.
Probably up until the last 10 years, there still wasn't.
Right. Right.
But it might be too, I mean, even back then, I mean, horror was looked at a lot different then, like up until maybe the last, I'd say 10, 15 years, maybe. I think horror is becoming more of a resurgence thing. Like years ago, I remember when I was younger, it was like, oh, you watch horror movies kind of deal. Like it was more of like macabre and stuff like that to watch kind of.
I think one of the stigmas, is that, because there was a lot of just like smut that was in horror back in the day. There was like maybe that's why people didn't assume that women could direct it, because there was a ton of like just inappropriate nudity, like for no reason, stuff like that. So maybe
I don't even have a
obviously
problem with that. Like,
if it's exactly, but I mean, if it's appropriate, but at the same time too, maybe that's why everyone assumed that it was just a sleazy dude who did it. Like, but that not to take anything away from those movies, because some of them are, I'm sure, on my favorite movie list. But at the same time too, it's I think it's matured. Like, there's always been more mature horror, but I think more mainstream horror has become more mature.
Well, I mean, horror movies are winning Oscars now. You can't really, dismiss it as easily as back then.
Yeah, and there's a lot of actors that are like, have pretty crazy careers. Like big name actors that have dabbled in horror as well, and that's good. At the same time, sometimes it might not be good, but it's good that they're giving people the exposure. Well,
look at Nicolas Cage now.
That's exactly who I was thinking of.
Every other movie that he's making now is literally a horror movie. So
Mandy was like one of the best movies I've seen in years. Like, I'm obsessed with that movie.
It's crazy. It's like, I'm not a Nicolas Cage fan in general, but that movie was great. And it was The Color Out of Space, I thought was really good too.
Then you have, I mean, with those, they're, like I was saying, with certain movies, they're not really my style. I watched them, I enjoyed them, but I was more like Mom and Dad, and then Willy's Wonderland, where he doesn't speak anything. Like, I'm more on that side, so I like those a little bit more. But I could see why people like Mandy so much. I could see, and then what Pig, I think, is the other one that just came out with him in it. But
I'm not sure. The one that he just came out with that's on Shudder, Bill Moseley's in it. Chuck Mosley was the old lead singer of Faith No More, everyone.
Yes.
I always say the wrong name. Bill Moseley is in that movie. You know who Chuck Mosley is? Really?
We do a lot of Faith No More and Dillinger Escape Plan and Mr. Bungle in His House.
I have the first album framed on my wall of Mr. Bungle right now.
Oh, wow.
I'm all about Mike Patton. Anything he touches is gold. I'm just pointing this out. I was wearing a Dead Cross t-shirt yesterday. My wife thinks it's weird because it's got the skeleton hands all over it, but whatever. You just gave me chills. I'm just letting you know.
I grew up as like an East Coast hardcore kid, so anything that's sort of like an offshoot of that, I've probably dabbled in at some point.
Yeah, it's that you just made my night. I'm just letting you know. Like, I'm all about, like, it's ridiculous. I sell him to everyone. Like, I'm like, you need to listen to, like, oh no, he's just the epic guy. I'm like, no, he's not. He's really not. Like,
what does he have, like 10 bands now?
No, actually, he's going through some mental stuff. So he's currently not doing anything. He's refusing to because he doesn't feel like he's up to par, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's also understandable if you're feeling like,
Yeah, but he canceled a bunch of Bungle shows, like with the new Bungle, and I mean, I would love to see that.
Oh my god, right? I've never seen anything other than like, what's online.
Really?
We're like downloading like Mr.
You've ever seen him? Have you ever seen him live? You never seen him? Really? I've seen Faith No More. First time I saw them was on the Angel Dust tour, and I was in high school. And Helmet opened for him. And And then I saw Bungle twice for free both times because the band I was in was sponsored by Easton Acoustic Works, and they redid all the speakers for the Avalon. So we got to go into both shows at the Avalon for free. And that was on the California tour. A friend of mine saw them on the first album tour, which I'm like, what? This is crazy. But anyways, enough about Mr. Bungle and Mike Patton. We've talked about music multiple times in this episode. I think we should change the show. But again, I could talk about this forever, but we do have to go. It's just about time. So where can people go to find out more information about your projects? Or, you said you had the YouTube channel if you want to promote that again, and just so people can go check out the cool stuff.
Yes, I have a YouTube channel. It's YouTube/Midnight Company. I own a clothing company called Poltergeist and Paramours, which is horror clothes.
Is it just women's clothing? Is there men's clothing as well?
It's for everybody. I do a lot of lingerie and
men?
underwear, but I spent like the last year remaking this sweater from Black Christmas with the hands on it like this.
Nice.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And we released that this year, and it was like a big hit.
Nice.
So yeah, I do that, and then I'm on all social media as at Miss Amalia, and I talk about movies and bullshit nobody cares about. So
not true. I guarantee you, I'll care about it. So.
Oh well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're friends now.
So all you have to say is, like you can talk about whatever you want, as long as there's every once in a while I make a Patton post or something. I'll be like, "What up?" He's the one person I'm terrified to meet. I will never want to meet him because I'm afraid it'll go bad. But anyways.
But the one thing I must say too is I think now with December, because I know I've seen a whole bunch of people talk about it too, is it might help you with pitching because now I don't know where everyone could see like your other shorts, but with the physical media release and all this stuff, that's sometimes all you need is eyes on it, and then be like, okay, well now you see what I can do,
Hook up, roller rope. So can you see your shorts anywhere else? Like
yeah, they're all on the Midnight Company channel.
Perfect.
There's actually this really cool. It's not my project, but I'm going to promote it anyway because it's awesome. In Los Angeles, director Buzz Wallach does this thing called Just Scare Me, and it's a filmmaking like accountability group for horror filmmakers, and tons of bigger name people are involved. And basically, once every 2 months, he's like, "Who wants to direct a short film?" And you say, "I'm in," right? Whoever wants to, anybody can. And if you have a deadline of 2 months, if you don't turn it in, you have to pay $100.
Oh wow!
So it just makes people make new art, and lots of people in LA do it. And then we do like a screening night, and we watch everybody's movies, and it's a super positive and awesome experience. And I totally suggest checking out their YouTube channel to see tons of horror filmmakers stuff they do for fun.
Yeah.
And
what's it called again?
Just Scare Me.
All right. I'm checking that out as soon as we're done.
It's so cool. It's seriously the coolest. My most favorite thing right now is, awesome. Friends like directors who are like Andrew Cash, who directs the Never Sleep Again documentary, and he directs Marvel TV shows. It's just him doing his own thing for fun. And
I just want to point out what I'm wearing for a t-shirt.
Well, if you want to see the short films he does, in his house with his kid for fun.
All right.
It could just scare me.
What a coincidence. I haven't worn this shirt in a month. That was a great documentary. So I'm all about it. So yeah, that's great. I definitely will be checking that stuff out. And Tony, where can people follow you?
You can follow me at Tony Has Nine Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews, unboxings, anything movie related. You'll find stuff there. Tony Has Nine Fingers on Twitter, which I actually hardly ever use. Tony Has Nine Fingers on TikTok, which I do not twerk.
That's where that lingerie is going to come into play.
Tony's Movies on Instagram, where I show off the movies behind me. And of course, here on the Wicked Horror Show every Tuesday. Also check out the Wicked Horror Show Instagram, where we'll post pictures of, up and coming guests and stuff like that. And Kevin.
A-Knuckle on Instagram. Besides doing this and doing the reviews with the 13th Wolfman. Also part of Secret Underground Hideout and Black and White Fright, all of which are on the Dorkening Podcast Network. So go to thedorkening.com for more information on everything there. Thanks for watching / listening, and good night.